It took about an hour, but my AI just wrote an entire 4-page report from scratch with just a few simple sentences. So a few weeks ago at Build, Microsoft released a repository called Skills for Fabric, and in it they included a number of skills and tools that you can plug into your AI harness of choice and use it to create, consume, and manage content in Fabric and the Power BI service. So you can do things like SQL data warehouses, real-time intelligence, notebooks, and of course Power BI content. So that's what we're going to dive deep on today. So we are going to cover 5 skills in particular. So Power BI report design, report planning, report authoring, report management, and also semantic model authoring. So in fact, the way that we're going to do it today is we will start with the Power BI report design, which will sort of design the overall life cycle and then take us all the way through publishing to the Power BI service. It will invoke those other skills along the way as necessary, but you can also invoke those skills individually if you need to. So whenever we're working on a Power BI report, of course, one of the first things we want to think about is the data. What data do we need? Where are we going to get it from? What shape do we need it in? And what shape is it in now? So I've gone ahead and done some of that heavy lifting for us. You can see here that we've got a data folder with several CSVs. So these are already cleaned and ready for us. So we are starting from a pretty convenient place, but the point is to demo these skills, not necessarily to troubleshoot dirty data. So just know that you might run into some other problems that I won't have today because I just want to show you what these skills are and what they can do. So the first thing I'm going to do is type /Power BI report design, and then I'm just going to give it a command here. Please consume the data in the data folder and build me a report on all of our sales metrics. Make it executive facing and make it about 3 or 4 pages. And in particular, I want some geographic analysis in there as well. So normally it will ask some follow-up questions to get a bit more detail on what you want. The prompt I gave it answered some of those questions that it might normally ask. So it looks like it skipped that interview this time around. And so you can see that it gave some high-level analysis of some of the data that it reviewed, and it has created a report design spec. And so in fact we can open this guy and see. So this is in Markdown. We can click in here, hold down Control Shift and V. So this is what the report looks like. And so it's just giving some of the details on the report. Here are the different pages, the 4 pages, and the visuals that are going to be on each page. And one of the things that I want to point out, this canonical design contract, so this is what it promises to deliver, and it is writing this out as a contract to you, if you will, in YAML. So YAML stands for yet another markup language. One nice thing is it is relatively human readable. It is tab conscious, so the tabbing does matter. Point is, you don't have to write it, but you can go through here and read this, right? So these are just some of the design notes and just different details about the report, some of the color theming here, and then we go down into the individual pages and some of the visuals on each page and so on. So what it had up above was in sort of human readable terms, but it needs that in a more concrete form that deterministic code can ingest. And so this is that deterministic contract of what it is going to build for you laid out in YAML. So this is the definitive key of what it's going to lay out here. You don't necessarily need to read it, but it is there if you want to read it. And you can also change this, but you can have AI change it. Moreover, you can commit this to your code repository. You can make this part of your design specifications for the report. This can be the seed for your RDR. So what we see here is a list of the tasks that it has produced for itself. So the first thing is going to build the design contract. So that's what I just covered a moment ago. Now it is building the semantic models from the CSVs. You can see here it's building the customer.temdal file, the store.temdal file. If we come over here, we see the sales.semantic model and the various temdal files in the tables. So you can see here that the semantic model Tyndall is written, so now it's just going to run it through a validation step by utilizing the modeling MCP server, which comes as part of the skills for Fabric. By the way, if you want to see more about the modeling MCP server, I did a video about that. You can see a link in the description. Also, you can see here that it is calling another one of the skills, the Power BI authoring skill, using this modeling MCP server here. All right, as you can see now that the model is built and validated, and so now it's going to author the report, and so you can see that it is now loading the Power BI report authoring skill, and it is, you can see it also down here in the steps. So it's now done building the semantic model, and it's going to start building the 4 report pages in Power BI report format. Okay, so you can see that it is writing our report PBIR here. It has several pages with some of the visuals on those pages, so it is working away. It has finally rendered all 4 report pages. It did render them with some errors, and then you can see from the notes before, it has gone ahead and fixed those. And so now what it is going to do is try to open those reports and this model in Power BI Desktop and just confirm that it loads correctly and that everything looks right. So you can see here what it's done is it has literally captured snapshots of all 4 pages. So it's captured those snapshots. It found that the model hasn't fully refreshed, which we can come over to Power BI Desktop and we can certainly see that for ourselves. So now what it's going to do is use the modeling MCP server to connect to the local instance of this model and then perform a refresh, and then it will recapture those screenshots and reevaluate. So you will encounter some problems depending on the model that you use. I'm using Opus 4.8 here. It can be pretty robust and resilient at trying again. And if not, sometimes you might need to sort of point it in the right direction. So it's saying that the refresh is complete. So let's come over to Power BI Desktop and check this out. So you can see here that now the refresh is complete. I mean, this looks pretty good. We can certainly review this, criticize it, provide some feedback, but I think just for this demo, this is a pretty good looking first start. So you can see here that in its visual check, it noticed a problem with the revenue year-over-year measure, and so it has figured out how to resolve that problem. So it's actually going to go ahead and implement a fix for that on its own. So while this is continuing to load, I want to point out over here that it stores the screenshots that it has taken. You can actually look at these, and you can include these in your wireframes and your RDRs if you want to do that. So there were a number of problems that we encountered. So there was a problem with the Azure Mass Visual. There were just some mechanical problems that the tool encountered. It was able to work through all of those, and you'll see that it actually recorded some memories. Okay, so we've got a fully working Power BI report, and so we can come here and see what it has built for us. And I mean, for an AI generated report, I think this is pretty good. If there are certain things that you don't like, you can certainly provide its feedback and offer suggestions on what to change, how to improve it, right? You can also offer more guidance up front on the exact nature of the different pages that you want, the different visuals that you want, and how you want that broken out. You just want to do that iteratively as it is writing out that design spec and that canonical contract that we talked about earlier. You can also publish this to the service. Now you can obviously just come here and hit the publish button. This will publish both their semantic model and the report and the data that is cached in the semantic model currently along with it. Or what we can do is I can come here and say, please publish this to the sales performance demo workspace. And so this will invoke the Power BI report management tool to publish the report and the semantic model to the Power BI service for us. The caveat is that it will publish it through the Azure CLI, so it will not publish the cache.abf, meaning it won't publish any of the data. So it will push up a dehydrated report for us with none of the data included in that. So what that means is that you would have to perform a refresh after you get the report into the service. If these are pointing at CSV files on a local machine, as is my case here, you need to create some data gateways to point to those. If it were pointing at an Azure SQL database, for example, that might be a little bit more fluid. Okay, so our AI has wrapped up. It took about another 15 more minutes for it to get published. So let's go to the Power BI service and check this out. So here is our sales model, and then here is our sales performance report. If we open this up, you'll see that the data in the model is not there. The reason that we're getting these errors is because it published just the metadata and the schema for the sales model and not the data in that cache.abf file, as I pointed out. So you would need to come into the sales model and set up some data gateways to be able to point at those CSV files, or you could just publish from Power BI desktop. And just to show you what that looks like, here is one that I did previously. So where does that leave us? Well, I think the verdict is that you should treat this like a really fast junior developer. It's not entirely independent, but it did do a good job at troubleshooting the problems that it found, and it did in about an hour what it would take a junior developer probably the better part of a week or at least a few days to do. So to me, I feel like this is a tool that we can use to become much more efficient at what we do. So go download the Skills for Fabric repo, check out the Power BI bundle, point it at an existing report, or have it author a new report that you've been meaning to tackle. And let me know how you get along down in the comments. And also, if there's another one of the bundles in the Skills for Fabric repo you want me to check out, just let me know. And if you want to know more about the Skills for Fabric overall, there is a video right here, and I'll see you next time.